So,
Wonderful.
yeah, beautiful. Baruch Hashem. Beautiful. Wonderful. Okay, today is Rambam Day. We are going to learn some Rambam together. Which we have been doing, Baruch Hashem. And we're going to continue to finish. Today we're going to finish off the Rambam. We've gone into depth on the first halacha, and we're going to actually go back to the first halacha. We're going to go to the prophecy of Bilam that you see over here. I see it, but not now. We're going to come back to that shortly. We did the second halacha. We did that one at great length a couple of times, and we went into different degrees of understanding. And actually went through the third and the fourth, but we're going a little deeper now into understanding the Rambam. This is all based on the Rebbe's teachings. So let us dive in. So just for the background, so after bringing the proof from Torah, from the 5 books of Moses about Mashiach, and that Mashiach is an eternal mitzvah, that because it's part of a mitzvah of the city of refuge. So now, based on everything that we learned, that Mashiach is coming to restore mitzvahs to its fullest, just like Ari Miklat, city of refuge, and all of the other sabbatical, jubilee year, and the laws of the mitzvahs to do in the holy temple. All those things are going to be restored. And that's, really what Mashiach is coming for, to conclude that which King David began. King David began in the sense because choosing the eternal home of the Jewish people having real sovereignty in his day and being united. And it began, and it's going to conclude with Mashiach. So then he says in the third halacha, one should not presume that the Melech HaMashiach, King Mashiach, must perform miracles and wonders, bring about a new phenomenon in the world, resurrect the dead, and perform other similar miracles. This is definitely not true. Why not? Because that's not what he's coming for. So how's he to be tested? The main thrust of the matter is that this Torah, its statutes and its laws are everlasting. We may not add to them or detract from them. So he's coming to bring complete fulfillment to Torah and mitzvahs, the statutes and its laws, because they're everlasting. So he's going to bring it into a manner and a way that we can fulfill it in its fullest way. Now, based on all this, now we have all of the necessary ingredients and understanding that now becomes in the fourth and final halacha in this chapter. And he says, well, if now based on all this, if a king, based on everything that we learned, so now if it's going to happen, meaning arise from the house of David, a king meaning a leader. King doesn't mean here in the sense of a literal king, right? Because we don't have a literal king today. I mean, we do have a Queen of England, but not the king. No, we don't have a king or a queen, right? But a person of great stature, and he's going to explain what does it mean, this king? So the first thing is, who is diligently contemplates the Torah and observes its mitzvahs as prescribed in the written and the oral law, as David, his ancestor. So that's the first thing. The first thing, this person needs to be whole and complete themselves. They need to be great scholars, great holy people, like King David. That's the first thing. But then that's not enough to be great on your own. Then you need to influence the people around you. So this is, remember, the beginning process. First, the person is complete themselves. Now they can compel all of Israel, Israel meaning the Jewish people, and it doesn't mean just the Jewish people in Israel, but throughout the world, to walk in the ways of Torah. Meaning, compel. That's a strong word. because this is still not times of Mashiach. People need to be compelled. Compelled, not forced by gunpoint, not forced by fear of punishment, but compelled kind of against their will. Meaning, they have an animal soul. And the animal soul wants, human pleasures. And Mashiach is going to compel them to walk the ways of Torah and mitzvahs, to follow the godly path. That's the sense of compelling. Think about it. How many people are learning right now? How many people are not learning right now because they're just, following that which satisfies them. So he's going to reach out to the Jewish world, and furthermore rectify the breaches in its observance. Right. So in other words, like rabbinic law and the like, to bring that which is necessary to the fulfillment of Torah mitzvahs. So meaning, like we have sages throughout the generations who added things because of the breach. So like in our generation, the Rebbe said, little girls at 3 years old, they should light Shabbos candles, even though in previous generations most people didn't, even though it was a tradition way back. Kind of got lost by many people. That's an observance that was breached, that was either forgotten or something. And many other types of things, small little things of enhancing Jewish observance. That's the point. There's a breach, enhance the Jewish observance. So that's to the Jewish people, but then it's not just to the Jewish people, because when Mashiach comes, nations of the world will also be part of the redemptive world. It's not just for Jews. Jews are, the generals leading the way, right? Jewish people have a deeper perception of God in times of Mashiach. And again, I'm getting off now topic of the Rambam, but just saying parenthetical that, there will be different levels of awareness, just like today. We have each one of us has a different level of not just physical observance and how many mitzvahs we're doing, but also spiritual awareness. So the times of Mashiach, there will also be different. So not everybody be the same. So this is there will be differences between in peoples and of peoples, but non-Jewish world will be apart, and that's why Mashiach has to fight the wars of God, and this means against the non-Jewish nations. And as the Rebbe explains, this does not mean physical war, even though it could mean that. Where do we see that it was physical war? And that's why maybe the wars of God, he uses that term, but holy people, right? A righteous tzaddik who is to be Mashiach doesn't have to literally fight a war. But Bar Kochba did, Ben Koziba, that we just I skipped it in the previous halacha, but we learned it previously. Rabbi Akiva thought he was Mashiach because he was fighting the Romans. That's the wars of God back then. Today, Mashiach doesn't need to do that. Wars are not in the same manner as they were. So the war of God means you're taking the words of God and you're warring with them. Just like you compel the Jewish people, the non-Jewish people, because it's not time to Mashiach and people are not yet attuned to the divine message fully. So you got a wage battle, so to speak. You got a battle because it's an uphill battle to bring people to not be greedy, to bring people to not battle and to take care of one another. So the word of Mashiach will be so powerful. He will battle with his words. Actually, you'd say, says in Isaiah, he will strike the earth with his staff of his mouth, and a beat with his lips and he will slay the wicked. What does it mean he'll slay? With his words, he's going to slay the wicked. What does that mean? In other words, his words are going to be so powerful that the wickedness in a person will be slayed, will be removed. So that's a battle. That's in a sense a battle. So, when he uses the words wars of God, there was a time, literally wars, because in every generation there's someone who's fitting that could be Mashiach. So in the times of Rabbi Akiva, there's been Koziba. That's what he and many of the sages felt, until it was apparent that he wasn't, because he was killed. By the way, strike against somebody else who got killed 2,000 years ago, right? He got killed. It's obviously you weren't the man, right? Obviously. Clear halacha. In any case, so those are the four things. Let's go through three things here. We'll see. It actually develops into a fourth thing. The first three things that are a preamble to Mashiach is his personhood, a righteous individual who is so engaged in Torah, mitzvahs, right? Great scholar and a great individual. And then the effect around them. The Jewish people, compelling, and the war of words, battle of God, the nations around. Now, that person with assurance is to consider him as Mashiach. If he succeeds with the above and builds a temple in its place and gathers the dispersed of Israel, he is definitely the Mashiach. Right, so there's two things here that we mentioned earlier, right? These are the two things that are necessary ingredient that there's going to be Mashiach, and that is a temple, because why? That gives us the capacity to fulfill all of the mitzvahs in the temple that need to be fulfilled. And right, if you don't have a temple, then you're missing a lot of mitzvahs. You don't have the completion of Torah mitzvahs. And another thing is the gathering of the dispersed of Israel is necessary, because you need to have the majority of Jews on the land of Israel in order that you can fulfill the mitzvahs biblically, appropriately, as a result. Then this is definitely Mashiach, right? Now, by the way, parenthetically, Rambam's not saying this, and the Rabbi didn't say this, but I'm saying it. Ultimately, I believe that the erroneous ways of the other faiths will be, because they'll be compelled by the true teachings of Torah, Mashiach, of the error of their ways, and they'll recognize that. It's a battle to come to recognize it, because it's not, natural. So you gotta, fight the battle, but they will. So much so that ultimately, Temple Mount will be ready for building of the Beis Hamikdash. I don't know how it will turn out, obviously, and but it will turn out, ultimately in this way that it will be built. I mean, obviously that it's left open to many ways that it could happen, right? But yeah, okay. Now that this is definitely Mashiach, the job's not over, right? It just means we got the guy. Now, then he will then improve the entire world, meaning motivating all the nations to serve God together. I will transform the peoples to the pure language, and that they will all call upon the name of God and serve him with one purpose. Right? So this is the fourth and final thing, is that there will be, as opposed to earlier, he has to compel the Jews, and the non-Jews, he's fighting a battle. No longer, because now it's the times of Mashiach, that this is definitely Mashiach. Now he's motivating. He's not fighting the nations to serve God together as one. And that we serve with one purpose. That's And that's itself was, again, a process. That's a process, right? Even though this is definitely Mashiach. So it's not like you're going to wake up and one day, oh, nirvana, I see it all. It's going to be a process. Now, where's Rambam get this from? Where does he get this? We got four things here, right? Himself, the Jewish people, the nations of the world divided into two categories before being definite Mashiach and then definite Mashiach. This is the fourth halacha. Let's go over here to the first halacha, the text proof that we have from Bilam's prophecy. So look here. And this is alluded to in the words here of Bilam's prophecy. We're going to see four different things that he's prophesying, which is going to be exactly the four things that we just learned. That King David began, and Mashiach is concluding. I see it, but not now. This refers to David. David who? A King David, obviously, but David in his personhood, right? I perceive it, but not now, but not in the near future. This refers to Mashiach. In other words, that's about the person themselves. That's the first thing. Remember, that was the first thing Rambam said, that there's about the person themselves and their aptitude to be Mashiach. So this is clearly here in this prophecy. Then the second thing, a star shall go forth from Jacob. This refers to David. Who is Jacob? Who's called Jacob? Is Jacob the person, but it's Jacob, the nation of Jacob. B'nai Yaakov, as the Jewish people are called. B'nai Yaakov. One of the names of the Jewish people, B'nai Yaakov, the children of Jacob. There's literally the children of Jacob, the 12 sons, right? And then there is what we call all of the Jewish people, B'nai Yaakov. And then a staff shall arise in Israel. This refers to Mashiach. Here's it. Oh, again, referring to the Jewish people. That's the second thing they need to do, right? And this is about the Jewish people. Then continues, crushing of Moab princes. This is non-Jewish nation. This refers to David, as he smote the Moab and measured with a line. So this is about the war. The war. Then it was literally a war, right? Of Moab, and here decimating all of Seth's descendants. This refers to Mashiach. Also the battle that he made reference to. Okay, here's literal battles, right? And at some stage throughout history, there was literally a battle. There were literal battles. Again, today's a battle, but as even Isaiah already told us, that Mashiach has to fight the battle of words, of ideas, of influence, right? Who will be the king? Social media? Facebook? Instagram? Or Mashiach? I think we all know who we're voting for, right? That's the third thing. Then there is the fourth thing that we made reference. After he has now built the Beis Hamikdash and the ingathering of the Jewish people, there's a fourth element, and that is alluded to here. And Edom will be demolished. This refers to David. Edom became the servants of David. Seir will be destroyed. It's not the exact translation. That's not a precise translation. The actual term is Seir will be inherited. We'll see. This refers to Mashiach. The saviors will ascend Mount Zion to judge the Mount of Esav. Okay, so we see now the connection between the first halacha and the prophecy. From here, hinted are the four ideas of Mashiach, right? That we had in this halacha over here, the four things, that David is diligent, He will compel the Jewish people. He will fight the wars of God. And then finally, he will improve the entire world. Right? Is that clear so far? Yeah? We're good? Now let's go even to further greater detail in the prophecy. So the Rebbe now shows in the Sikha, it's really phenomenal. It's just like, every detail. Remember, David started a process, but he didn't finish it. Mashiach will finish it, and not just finish it. He will bring it to its eternal destination, its ultimate, peak, what it was meant to be, right? So in other words, he's improving on David. If he's just doing the same thing as David, so then it'll be a third base. I mean, there's like the first two that got destroyed, and it's not eternal. And you won't have Torah mitzvahs to be complete. You won't have and as a result, obviously, you're not going to have the present. What makes it that it's going to be eternal? Right? This is all the halachic language I'm talking about. In the Hasidic terminology, it means the presence of God, right? That there was presence of God in the first holy temple, and the first one more so in the Holy of Holies with the broken tablets and the tablets that were there, but it was only there, and that's why it's not eternal. Where's the presence of God going to be? Everywhere. God will be revealed in the entire world, right? So, and as a result of that, that is the eternity of Torah mitzvahs and of the times of Mashiach. So it means there's, vast improvement. Otherwise, we're just going back to the same old, so to speak, right? And that's not what's happening. So here he shows in the prophecy how there is an improvement from David to Mashiach. So in reference to the Jewish people, the term for David is Jacob. Jacob comes from the word Yaakov, which means heel. It represents the heel of the Jewish people, the lowest part. Now that's very lofty. You can bring the Yud into Akev, you can bring the godliness into the heel, and that's on a deeper level what it means. But on a simplistic level, the name Jacob refers to a lower level of the Jewish people. That's what David started. He started, started at the bottom, moving up. And the staff shall arise refers to Israel. Jewish people, Israel. Israel is the highest name of the Jewish people because the Jewish people are going to be on a higher level. Now, right, that's Israel. Li Rosh, my head. The words Israel means Li Rosh, the letters turned around. Right? So that's a reference to the Jewish people. Now, remember we said that Mashiach is going to compel. Well, that's the staff. The staff of Mashiach, right? He will compel, just like a staff is, compelling, you carry your staff, it's very, it doesn't mean that you're hitting with the staff, but the staff is a sign of, of power, a sign of power is the right word, dominance, right? Dominance. So Mashiach is going to dominate, compel the Jewish people, Israel. So there's still the compelling force, right? The compelling force, but it's on a higher level of the Jewish people called Israel. Again, see how it's in the words. It's hinted into the words, right? Right.
Rabbi, I have a quick question.
Go ahead then.
Would the Jewish people all be relocated to Israel, or would there still be others in the diaspora at that time?
Excellent question. I'm not exactly certain because there's different different, you know, there's different, you see, we're learning halacha right now, right? So halacha is that which Mashiach has to accomplish, right? How it will be envisioned in the times of Mashiach. So first of all, the next chapter will be about the times of Mashiach. Now it's about the person Mashiach, right? It's about those times. So we do have the ingathering of the Jewish people. Does that mean everybody has to move to Israel? It's not so clear, you know, because there is a midrash that says that the entire world will be like Israel, meaning just like Israel is the holy land because the presence of God is there. So the entire world will have the presence of God. But on the other hand, it does say in gathering to Israel. So if everybody's there, what are you gathering them, right? So exactly what that means, you know, we will, you know, and therefore, does it mean everybody has to go? I don't know. I think it's a process, be quite honest. And I'm not, you know, I don't think that's something that is absolutely clear. Okay. But getting back over here, let's, so I want to make sure that we have clarity in Bilam's prophecy. Do we see it in the words? The staff, right? Dominance, power, strength, right? That's what the staff represents, which means Mashiach in his power, meaning because he has to compel the people, right? Compel, you know, the Rambam writes in the laws of divorce, of a get, that when the halacha is the man has to give the divorce, the woman can't. That's halacha. It's a clear verse in the Torah, and you know, this is what God says in the Torah, and finished. Is there a lot of problems because of it? Totally. But that's the way God wants it. That's the way it is. So, you know, there's a lot of times there's deadbeat husbands who are not forthcoming and giving the get to the wife. And there's, you know, so back in the day when when Torah law was sovereign, right? Like King David, you know what they did was someone who legitimately had to give a get, right? He had to give the get. He didn't want to hold it out for whatever reason, irrelevant. You know what Basin would do? They would whip him until he says, I want to give it. They would whip him, literally, until he would say, I want to. Now, there's a bit of a problem there. You know why? Because the halacha is that that he has to freely give the get. He just got whipped. How's that freely giving? You know what the Rambam explains? Because every Jew wants to do what God wants. Sometimes we just have something that's a barrier that doesn't allow us to get to the true desire that we want, right? So you got to whip it out of them. So the same thing is, every Jew wants to keep Shabbos. Most Jews don't. Every Jew wants to put on tefillin. Every Jew wants to keep kosher. Most don't. Mashiach is going to compel them. Now, he's not going to take a whip and whip them. He's going to whip them with his words. But they won't be whipped words. They will be compelling words that will inspire. But yet it's compelling. It's going to be with the staff. The staff is showing strength and that these words are real and they're going to inspire the people. That's what's going to happen. As we all saw with our Rebbe, of how many people he inspired. And, you know, so we have an inkling of what that is already. And so that's what it means there. Now, Jacob, lower level, and a star shall go forth. You know, a staff shall rise, meaning a person with a staff, and, you know, will arise in Israel, meaning amongst the people. A star shall go forth from Jacob is removed. The kings then were more removed. Mashiach is going to be more in the people, with the people, compelling the people by his words of inspiration. Why do they have to be compelled? It's because just like the guy who doesn't want to give the get, most people don't want to observe, but he will make it compelling, strong, and meaningful, that it'll touch the person, they will be compelled to find their way and find their path. Is that clear? Okay, let's go further. That's what he does for the Jewish people. Now look at the difference over here between, first of all, this is King David crushing all of the Moab princes, right? So that's one nation that he will crush. What happens when you crush some people? They're crushed, but you know what? They get back up and they fight back. So that's like the first, that's what Mashiach, that's King David. It's only one nation it makes reference to, right? Because his influence is limited to those who are around Israel at the time. And he'll be so powerful that it'll be crushing, but it doesn't last. Because the nation gets crushed, but then they get up and they fight back. King Mashiach, first of all, is Shase. Anybody know who Shase is? Seth? He's the son of Adam and Eve, which means he is the progenitor of the entire, most of the world. So this is not just one nation, but all nations ultimately. So this is speaking about Mashiach now. And the word, hold on, let me just see over here. Let me just see. So here it says disseminating. So disseminating means ties in with the words of the wars that King Mashiach will fight, the battles that he will engage in. That will be battles that will decimate. How? As we said earlier, with his strong words, with his very powerful message. Right. Reggie mentioned earlier about today's class. When you think about what we learned today in Tanya, and even what we're learning right now, in a way, it's decimating. How's it decimating? Or it's compelling and decimating. I mean, we're not thinking this way, but the teachings are so powerful that it decimates our old ideas. They dissolve the old ideas. The seed that we had disintegrates. And that's what's happening here. Decimating meaning in a form of disintegrating. All of the descendants of humanity, disintegrating their ideas, their ways. And that's what Mashiach will be. He will rule from sea to sea. This is still before certainty of Mashiach, right? So therefore there's a rule, there's a staff, there's a, right? But again, how's his rule? Now, there could have been times that this prophecy meant, right? And that's why you have to be very careful. And that's why Rambam is like, if it would have been, Rabbi Akiva probably would learn this differently because he learned it about Bar Koziva. And it was a real war. And perhaps in that time, that's all he could understand. And maybe that's all there is to understand back then, because then that's all there was. But today, as the world evolves, as we learned in our Mashiach course in the first class, as it is evolved, right? So it's a prophecy. So remember, prophecy, exactly what it means. It is said with prophetic vision that it can mean many different layers of things. So rule from sea to sea, decimate. Could, for Rabbi Akiva was fighting the Romans because the Romans were the ones holding back. They destroyed our temple. This is Rabbi Akiva after the destruction of the temple, right? Destroyed our temple, didn't allow us to fulfill Torah mitzvahs. So of course you got to battle that. That is a physical battle. But today, obviously, we don't have that. So is the prophecy not true anymore? It's 100% true. It's actually truer today. It's a war of ideas. Is Bill Gates and Zuckerberg and the rest of them, they're going to win it? God forbid. Even though we're using the platform, but we're using the platform for its true purpose. So we decimate all of the descendants, all descendants, meaning decimating through ideas, through words, through teachings, right? Because remember, this is before Mashiach, and there's an awareness, right? This is not based on English yet built, and not yet in the phase of definite Mashiach that we are, and even that is phases of growth. So therefore, it's just like today's Tanya, and right now, what we're doing is decimating your ideas. That's what the Chassidus is. That's what the Rebbe is doing, decimating old ideas and replacing them with a new way to look at things. And that will be to rule from sea, head to foot, and us, and sea to sea, in the nation, and in every nation, ultimately, by transforming people through the ideas of the teachings. That's Mashiach. It's all people. And it's not, when you crush something, you crush it, it can still come back. When you decimate something, you're destroying, right? There's no coming back because you decimated it. No coming back to what it was, right? And that, again, the idea of the seed, that it becomes, so to speak, decimated in the ground. And from there, beautiful thing comes and flowers out. Now, that's all before the certainty of Mashiach. The fourth thing in Bilam's prophecy is now going into the times of Mashiach. So Edom will be demolished. That's David. Edom will be servants of David. See, what did David accomplish? That nations of the world recognized their greatness and they're ready to serve. Times of Mashiach, right? It's more than that. Because a servant serves like a ball and chain, so to speak, because you're forced to. But here, Mashiach, Seir, will be destroyed. The truth is that's not the right translation here. Decimated was before, but destroyed here, it says Yeresha, which there's a nuance here. It can mean destroyed, but it also means Yerusha, inherited. Inherited. This refers to Mashiach. Saviors will ascend Mount Zion to judge the mountain of Esav. It's a reference to Yaakov and Esav when they met after Yaakov had his family, now is returning, and Esav came with 400 men. And what happened? It was a time for Mashiach to come. Could you take the evil of the world, Esav, and transform him? Yes, that was what Yaakov wanted to do, to make that transformation. And so he did, temporarily. And then Esav says to him, let's go together. Let's go together. And what does Yaakov say? My flock is too young. The children are too young. If we go at your pace, we'll die out. In other words, we're not ready for the redemption. You go to Har Seir, You go to the mountain of Esav. You go there, and I'll meet you there. Well, that's what we're waiting for. That's the time of redemption. It was almost the time. It was a potential time, right? Yaakov could have brought redemption, but the forces, even though Esav did embrace him and did kiss him, but as Rashi says, in that moment, he had compassion. Was he transformed? No. He was only kind of crushed in the moment, in the sense that the compassion took him over, but he wasn't yet transformed. When will transformation come? Seir will be inherited. That's the word over here, Yerusha, which means an inheritance. What is there's two ways to conquer. You can conquer by force, but if you conquer by force, then you can be conquered back by force, right? Which is the history of humanity. Ultimate conquering is by inheritance, right? That there's an inherent connection, and therefore you inherently have a connection to that. So like the laws of inheritance, someone passes away, even a day-old child can inherit their parents. Why? Because they stand in the place of their parents. So here, the saviors will ascend Mount Zion right, and will bring, a time of judgment that ultimately, through that judgment, we'll all be able to inherit the word of God. It doesn't have to be compelled anymore. It doesn't have to be a war to win over the forces of negativity. But ultimately, when the saviors will ascend to Mount Zion, and there'll be a proper judgment, then we can, as we learned as the lashon of the Rambam, the language of the Rambam, it will then improve the entire world, motivating the nations to serve God together. Why? Because it's your inheritance. It's you. Till then, you're compelled because it's not you. Till then, you have to battle because it's not you. It is you deeper inside of you, but you're just not there. You're not living it. You're not holding by that. But now that we have definite Mashiach, it's still a process because you still got to motivate, right, to serve God together, not as King David was, that served King David and the Jewish people. No, serve God direct, because you don't have to force it. Why? Because it'll be a transformation of a pure language that we'll all call upon and serve God with one purpose. So the Rambam is ultimately taking this from that prophecy and translating it, what it means in a halachic terms for what Mashiach, the person, needs to accomplish. Powerful. Powerful, powerful. I've taught this several times, and it's just like it doesn't get dry. You know why? The truth is the truth. The truth doesn't become weaker with time, it becomes stronger with time. And even though it's you're repeating, I'm repeating the same thing. I gave this class, before to whatever. No repeating here. Maybe the words are being repeated, even ideas, but the message is like, wow, amazing. Any questions, any thoughts, any comments? Did everybody get this? Irma, did you get it? I didn't hear from Irma. Didn't hear from Davida. Yes, Eugenia, Liba, Tim, Denis, Reggie, Michael, Leslie, Shoal, Diane. No? Anybody? Everybody? We got it. We're clear. We're good. Powerful stuff.
Rabbi Fine, I just had a quick question.
Go ahead.
When does Moshiach ben Yosef come into this?
Mashiach ben Yosef is some kind of revelation before Mashiach ben David, and I'm not exactly clear. It just means a prior stage. These are all stages. What does that mean? I don't know. How do you see that? I mean, it's a prior stage to before Mashiach ben David, the ultimate Mashiach that brings redemption. So the truth is, as we learned in this week's class, lesson number 4, right? I think from there we get an idea of what it means, levels upon levels, layers upon layers of, climbing up the ladder and getting, to a greater point in the revelation of Mashiach. So Mashiach ben Yosef is a part of that, just like Eliyahu Navi, Elijah the prophet, is a part in that coming of Mashiach. And you see the Rambam doesn't write about it because from a halachic point of view, it's not so relevant. It's not so relevant. Not relevant for the person Mashiach. It's not relevant for us even to know, because if it was relevant for us to know, then he would talk about it in halachic. Halacha is what we need to live with, right? That's what has to guide us. So here we're learning what we need to believe in Mashiach. So it's not obviously a relevant issue for us to live with, because Rambam doesn't mention it in halacha. Now that's not taking away from the fact of it. That's not the point. The point is that I looked a little into it, and I don't have great clarity. And there's so many, like we're going to learn in the next chapter of Rambam, because we finished this chapter, by the way. I mean, finished. We scratched the surface of this chapter, or I scratched the surface. There's so much more depth we can go into, but we did a pretty good job. I think we, I think, yes, we can give everybody a round of applause. You all did amazing in this engagement. We're going to go into the next chapter and learn about the times of Mashiach and what that means, right? Here's about the person Mashiach. So person Mashiach meaning, because we need to know halachically what we need to believe in, right? What we need to await for. What we need to await for. So like we sing every day by davening, that Hashem should build the Beis HaMikdash speedily in our days and give us our portion in his Torah, that we have a part in bringing Mashiach ultimately. So, that's the 11th chapter deals with that. The 12th chapter with what is those days to look like. In other words, therefore, we need to know what we're anticipating, what we're awaiting for. And from a halachic perspective, meaning the halachic perspective means what's obliged of me, right? That's what halacha means. So now we learn what's obliged of me to believe in this Redeemer. Now we need to know what is obliged of me to believe in what's going to happen in the times of Mashiach. So more to come. In other words, Mashiach ben Yosef isn't important. Eliyahu, it's so far, at least in what we've learned so far, it's not an element that halachically is important. Now, that being said, as Rambam is going to say in the next chapter, there's a lot of the prophets, and so much what the prophets saying. As Rambam is going to say, don't take it so literal. We're going to learn about that, and because there's so many layers of it that we don't know how it's going to materialize. So we got to be careful with that. like Bilam's prophecy, right? The waged wars of God. So, what Rabbi Akiva, and the Rambam was just, for us, just to give you an idea, for us Hasidim, you know what the wars of God were? For our Rebbe fought the wars of God. You know what it was? We called it Mi Yehudi, who's a Jew, that it's only according to halacha. If you have a non-Orthodox conversion that is according to halacha, right? Israel allows that to some degree, right? The completion of the land of Israel, not to give an iota away. Complete is a complete people, the complete land, the complete Torah. The Torah should not be watered down. So those were, battles, literal battles, not battles with a gun, but battles of ideas. And that was even, that you might say, where the Rambam uses the term for battling against the nations of the world. Here, this is about fellow Jews. So maybe the term is compelling because that's what he uses, to compel. But those are some of the issues and things that are huge. So that's where we're at, folks. I got to run. Wishing everybody a wonderful day and a good Shabbos. Thank you all.
Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you very much. Have a wonderful Shabbos.
Thank you, Rabbi Fine. Great as always.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, y'all.
Shabbat
Shabbat
Shalom.
Shalom.